Previously on Wanga Connect.
I wanted my mother to see what was going on. But my mother was not aware of the same people that she brought into her household, or the same people that were robbing the innocence of her children.
Wanga Connect with Joy Wambui wa Kariuki.
Hi. Welcome once again to Wanga Connect. We are on Joy Wambui wa Kariuki YouTube channel. Please remember to subscribe as it's rolling down there. Give us your comments. Let us know what you want even us to discuss the next time. And once again, we are being hosted by Olaro by the Smith. It's a beautiful establishment. If you're looking for a place to have your nyama, you want a place where you can be able to enjoy with the kids. If you haven't been to Olaro, you're missing out. So my name is Joy Wambui wa Kariuki, and I love what the Lord is doing in my life. And this is a continuation of my story. And what I loved about this particular segment, I tried to recollect some of those offenses. You know how you sit down and you want to put down together an offensive package, because I think that's what we do a lot of times, is when we put on a very offensive package, most of the times is when we want to talk more about the offense, but not in the journey of how you got out of it and how you are right now. See, Wanga Connect is about connecting in newness. That's why we have Wanga. Wanga means newness in Kiswahili. And we are bringing you stories and testimonies and how God has made you a testament in our generation. We are in a generation where there's a lot of noise about the offense, so we kind of dwell so much. And those are the stories that we will sell. The stories of the offense, but not the stories and the testaments of what has happened in your life and how good it has been that you are actually delivered from it. So this time, when I started exploring, remember the last time we talked about Psalm 103 verses 12, it says that the sin has been, the transgression has been removed. Now, if you explore this word removed, it means a dismissal. And when something has been dismissed, it's no longer there. You see, the generals bear scars. It doesn't mean they're still in the battlefield. They just bear the scars. And so my story is about an evidence. If you see a scar on me, I say, oh, that, I received this and that, but it's gone. I don't feel the pain anymore. So I want to take you a little bit about some of the offenses that I talked about, and I was just laying a background in the last story. And it was about the things that were not addressed, and they started bringing all this build-up into my childhood. And I said that I come from a very close-knit family. And some of the things, some of the gates that we open to, you never know who is going to walk into that gate. And some of the people don't know how to appreciate the love that they receive. What they do is they abuse. And if you look at it, I think even them, they're coming from a very abusive place. And you know, abuse is, it doesn't like loneliness. It wants to invite others into that loneliness. And now this one starts becoming a revolving fund around the family. And some of these things can start defining your opinions. It can start defining how it is you perceive matters, even in the long run. It can start even defining your worldview and how you view things. It can start even defining your culture. But what really is all this forgiveness that we are talking about? Like I said, forgiveness has different expressions. And so today, when we are talking about forgiveness, we are talking about what precedes the forgiveness. We are talking about mercy. And in my story, I progress in this story. I mentioned the last time about sexual abuse. And this was a bit of an entry. And one of the things that caused all this pain and all this bitterness that was there in the past, and getting into a place where you are very angry with what is happening around you. And again, I also mentioned that you are growing up in a place where if you express yourself, that is disrespect. To the parents that are listening to me, and also the people that have been offended, and even those who have offended. I think it's about time that we started speaking about some of these things, because a lot of people are dying right now. There's been a lot of suicide cases in the country. If you go down to our, I think it's a page where the statistics are. In these statistics, it shows that we are burying about 800,000. So it means every 40 seconds, there is someone who is dying because of suicide. If you look at the entry to suicide, some of the barriers that we have placed, the lack of forgiveness to something that you may look at it as such a minute thing, it builds up and builds up, and with time it starts birthing all these other things. And so this particular entry, this has come in, the value has been added, and the value, and it keeps on increasing and increasing. So we are looking at this child who has now been taken out of the maternal space where they feel that the protection is there. And then now they go into an institution of learning which has all these other people. And while we were there, while I was in boarding school, we had kids who would come in with little packets of alcohol, sneak in some alcohol, because they come from families where these things are normal. And because they're already addicted, they proceed with the addiction. I've said mercy precedes forgiveness. I remember this time when I had all these anger issues that I refused to manage. Because again, if I deal with them, that's again disrespect. So there's this child who addressed my body, my body shamed, and I dealt with that child. Oh, poor girl. Again, there was violence. So now we have added the package. There is alcohol, starting in small dosage, and then now we have come into violence. Those are not good things. So growing up in this, it started even affecting my studies. You know, you're at a place where you have so much belief in who you are and your capabilities. You're smart, you're very smart, you're street smart, you're book smart, you have a balance of the two, but then this other thing is a barrier. You know, most of the times we think that carrying offense is not going to bar your production. Actually, it also affects your productivity. So getting rid of the offense that has been there, it is a decision that you make. It is intentional. And it is not instinctive. Forgiveness is not instinctive. It is something that you intend that you're going to be, you're going to get rid of it. And that is why the Bible talks about it is removed. So this is beyond your power. Because if it is within your power to get rid of it, then you will not have the strength to be rid of it. And what I love about the Lord is that when He removes it, actually even erases that memory. And I hear a lot of people saying, you cannot be able to forget the offense. I stand as a testimony that it is possible that you're able to forget the offense. Now I look at this child who is Joy Wambui Kariuki, and she has been told you're Joy. But I remember snippets of that time when you're being told that you are just an accident. You are not supposed to be. You're not supposed to have happened. You're a coincidence. But that's not the thing. The assurance is, Ephesians tells us, that you are already chosen even before the foundations of the earth. The Lord had you in mind. So it doesn't matter by what channel you came in. You were already predestined to happen, and you carry a lot of value. You are projected to come in and become a solution. So moving on, I get into high school. And when I get into high school, the anger that I had now started escalating even further. Please remember, because I have not addressed the kind of pain that I had, neither was I able to address it with the authorities, my parents that is, I carried this now, and now it is even growing deeper. It is becoming more and more rooted. So you want to try and start to validate yourself. You want to others to validate you, and you find yourself as others are trying to validate you. Then again, you get further and further into abuse because people are going to disappoint you. People are dealing with their own issues. And I started looking for love in the wrong quarters. But the funny thing is, I faced a lot of rejection. Now, the second phase that I got into after the build-up of offense, now I started being rejected. And I remember, that reminds me, now back again in my primary school, I remember writing a letter to my mother and telling her, nobody likes me, nobody wants to be around me. That was not a pity party, that was a cry out. Now when I see it now, it is actually a cry out. This child is crying out for the mother to come and defend her, the mother to come in and protect her. But she's not finding that protection because she has been taught that the best way to live in this life is to cover up and camouflage. So when I faced this rejection, everywhere I went, and this is a very, it may look like it's something so small, but it's something that really eats up into the lives of so many people. Rejection takes you to a place where you feel you're not worthy of anything. And that rejection now started forming my opinion that I was not worthy of anything. And even in my productivity, in whatever phases and areas of my life, I started getting to the place where I would not give 100% because even though I gave 100%, I don't deserve it. And this brought everything down. Everywhere I went, when my friends were making friends with other people, I always felt that I don't need to be. That's when you start defining the imposter syndrome. The imposter syndrome, it takes reference of where you feel like you are not validated enough. You are not good enough to be able to receive that which you are being given. You're not good enough to be able to do that which you need to be doing. You just don't feel good enough. There's not a single time I remember that I woke up feeling that I was worthy of anything. Going back to my classroom, I didn't feel like I was good enough, and that is what I attracted. When I walked everywhere I went, I attracted the not good enough. I remember I had one friend who was very true to me, but most of the times I goofed all the time because I felt that even her, she was not feeling what I was trying to express. So rejection has set in. And then now, you enter now into a different phase, young adult. You're a young adult, you've passed through life. Basically, I just buzzed through life. And all this time, my offender has not been removed from my space. So my offender is still there. And I felt, every time I felt angry because my offender is not being dealt with. But the only way that I could contain this anger is drink some more. So in high school, I was abusing alcohol. I think I was full blown. I was just full blown. And what was funny is that the school authorities never realized that. They would just see a child who is just bad. But they didn't realize that this child, there's a child inside of her that has not been raised up, and this child needs to be raised up. There's a child who has been open to so many things, so much offense and so many things that she doesn't need to deal with at her tender age. So I took that out with me in high school, went past it, now got into my young adult life. And even then, I still believed that I was going to be the change in the society. And I started shutting down some of the dreams that I had. Just the other day, when we were just having a discussion with my mother, I remember she told me, when she asked me, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I told her I want to be a thug. It's funny now. It's funny now because being, you can imagine this is a young child saying, when others are saying they want to become pilots and others are saying they want to become doctors. The other day, my son told me he wants to be a father when he grows up. This child is saying, I want to be a thug. So you can imagine the kind of mindset that that child had. Thank God for mercy. So when I got out of high school, things now happened. Growing up in a place where there's a lot of love, there's a lot of so much in, and also there was a lot of provision. We also had a lot of money. The first thing that happened when, now in my last stages of my high school, is I remember my parents were auctioned. And they were auctioned at around the time that I needed the money, or rather I needed to go to the next phase of life. So I'm the child that didn't go to college with my parents' fund. My brothers and my sisters were lucky enough. But my brother also, he felt the pinch of the inflation that happened that time. And what even made us more angry is that the people who orchestrated this auction were people who were very close to my parents. So within one time, when you have it all together, the next minute, nothing. And we had to beg for very little, small things. And we struggled in that phase. I remember one time we boiled uji. It was not even uji per se. I was making ugali outside kwa kuni because we had to go back to the village, and then I'm trying to put together. There was not even, we couldn't afford a matchbox. and there was that bit of culture. You're from up then down, so there's that shift, and it's such a wide shift. And when we got there, I did tell my mother, maybe she'll pick from this video. The mbogas I collected, there were not so many mbogas. There were some small kienyeji I mixed with grass. And that's what we had for dinner in the dark. And that day when we were seated in the dark, I remember telling God, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I was like, I've been rejected even by the devil himself. Shetani anitaki, Mungu anitaki. This is just too much. And I started finding a way out. So I started talking to my friends and asking them how I can be able to sell even newspapers so that we can be able to get out of the state that we were in. I always found myself trying to get solutions for people. So I went to, I moved from home, and where we went to stay, it was not a very easy period of my life. That 1 year, was a very difficult year. That year that I stayed where I stayed, I stayed where I had to give my all. And giving my all means you have to do a job as a house girl. You have to, it's not an easy thing, And once you're done, you have to go and continue working, and you have to work so hard and push yourself so that you can be able to save. And all the promises that I had to go back to school, I saw them dying right in front of me. And during that time, the abuse again came back. Thank God that not a single time was it penetrative, but abuse is abuse. And I look back now and I see so many times when God fought for me, God fought for my life so many times. And I still continued to abuse alcohol. And I remember one time we took off license. I think it's off license. And we made alcohol, mix it up with, that time we used to mix it up. There's something we used to mix it up with water or something like that. And I slept in the sun. I was sick. It's like the alcohol inside was boiling. And I remember telling God, get me out of this. I don't know how you would do it, but just get me out. This time what we have now introduced on top of the alcohol, now I've introduced something else. I can't remember what it is. You put here, over here at the bit of your mouth, and it shoots up your entire system. And then there was also a bit of weed, just a bit. And it helped to ease the pain that I was having. So I was this person who is surrounded by so much. Once again, I thank God for mercy. So when that didn't work out, that entire season of so much pain that I may not be able to give you the details, what I love is that going back to the village was a better option. Things had not changed much, but even though things had not changed much, it was much better for me to be back there than being in a place where this was happening. And when I went home and there was so much accusation against me, I remember looking at my mother and asking her, is that how you raised me? And we agreed at that moment with my mother that whatever it is, we're gonna work it out. Fast forward, mother got a job, things started looking up, and she left and I joined her. Please note, alcohol is still there, but I'm also struggling with trying to see if I can test this God. And to cut the long story short, I proceed and I go to where my mother is and I meet this amazing guy. Please note, some of the things that had gone on in my life had not been addressed yet. And I think the face that broke me was the face after I committed to loving this man. So I got into a marriage that I wanted to be in, but the intention was not right. I got married because I wanted to run away. Then I got married because I thought that there would be, this person would there would be some sort of vindication, there would be sort of validation as well. I think those demons had been suppressed for a bit until we got into this. And I got into a union with what I thought was, at that time, there was love. There was love that was there. But even though there was love, there was still the pain that had not yet been dealt with. A lot had been not dealt with. And I came as a package. You know, when you get into a union, you get in as a package. So this man married a package. He married my pain. He married my rejection at the time. He married everything, even plus me, plus everything about me. And I'd still not addressed some of the things that I was dealing with. So I married my husband, and recently we just celebrated our 19 years of marriage, which was amazing. Remember I said mercy precedes forgiveness. When I got married to my husband, we loved one another. We were very good friends. And I think that has really helped over time. that we were very, very, very good friends. But I don't think we were in it for the right reasons to start with. And so getting into this union, with all this, we started dealing with the realities of what we were both facing. And I think mine was even worse. And I think after the wedding, that's when the problems began. When the rejection that I felt in the past now started rearing its head. Because see, it looks like the dust has settled. It looks like the pain and the violence has settled down. Only to see that this is something that has now just started. See, when someone is telling you that it is good for you to let go of something, this person is basically telling you that you are doing what is good for you. Most of the times is when we think that being a carrier of offense and actually defending it, that is something that is really good for you. But it's not good for you. You need to get to the place where you need to let go. And now I'm going to read for you something that I wrote a couple of years ago. I said, do not allow pain or fear to dethrone the conqueror or defame he who wears the victor's crown. You wear the victor's crown. Do not allow the pain and the fear of what you have had over the seasons of your time and the seasons of your life to try and define what it is that you need to be receptive of. Remember, the Lord has taken all this away from us. He has removed. So there's a dismissal to the offense. And you need to be the person who is also going to dismiss that kind of offense. You need to be the person that is going to stand back and say, you know what? It has happened. So what? Be rid of it. I felt that I'm entitled to this pain. I'm entitled to the fear that lack of forgiveness brings. I'm entitled to all these things. And I felt that I needed to carry this, but it wasn't good for me. So my prayer is that as you carry on your package of offense and repackage it and unpackage it and repackage it again and try to rebrand and redesign it, you need to understand that there's something the Lord has done in Hebrews chapter 10 verses 17, that the sins and the lawless acts I will remember no more. And if the Lord can not remember what you have done, I think it's also paramount for you to also be at a place where you need to be one that erases all these memories. I'm so happy that I can't remember some bits of this, but I'll try as much as possible for you to understand in my relationship that why I love the way I love is that so much in my life I have made a lot of mistakes and so much has been forgiven in me. So in our next part of this story, my story, I'm going to give you now bits and pieces, not everything, bits and pieces of what my relationship was like after we got married. So may the Lord bless you. Please remember to subscribe to this channel, Joy Wambui Kariuki. You'll see my face on it. On Wanga Connect, Wanga Wednesday. You see this every Wednesday in the afternoon. And once again, if you have not been to Olaro, this is one amazing place that you need to look at how lush the grounds are. You can actually sit. You sit down and you can be able to enjoy the environs out of Nairobi. It's in Rongai, Masai Lodge. God bless you. See you in the next season, the next segment. God bless you. Don't forget to subscribe. It's free, by the way. God bless you. See you soon.
Thank you for watching. Catch new episodes every Wednesday. Hit the subscribe button and share with your friends so that this content can help someone else.